When it comes to company culture, what you see isn't always what you get. A company might look like the best place to work from the outside, but when you really dig deep, it's not what you expected. Every workplace has a culture, but here's the thing, most of it is invisible. The biggest influences of culture are not always seen, but they shape everything that we do. A popular model to explain this is Schein's cultural iceberg model. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what it is, where it comes from, share some examples of it in context, and share how you can use it to understand and evolve your company culture. Hi, I'm Lizzie, a company culture coach based here in the UK. And over the past 7 years, I've worked with organisations and small businesses to radically transform the way they think about work. It still frustrates me so much that people assume that culture is just the visible or material assets of their workplace. Yes, I am looking at you, beanbags, cool office spaces and work perks. People will often say to me, oh, we have a great culture because we go to the pub every Friday, or we have a great culture because we do some volunteering. The list goes on and on. But the reality is this is just a fraction of the piece of the picture when it comes to what your company culture is really like. So let's dive in and unpack what I mean. The Iceberg model was developed by Schein, a professor at MIT's Sloan School of Management and a thought leader in organizational culture. He described culture as having different layers, just like an iceberg. At the tip of that iceberg is what we see, the visible artifacts. But below the surface is where everything else is going on. All the assumptions, the values, the beliefs that are driving and influencing this behavior. That is where the true substance of culture lies. Above the surface of the iceberg is the visible artifacts of your culture. Things that you can see. This could be how people dress, how people interact with each other. It could even be communications and brand symbols. Anything that is very visual are the artifacts of your culture. And this is what we see at the tip of the iceberg. Below the surface is where things get interesting. The first area that we see just below the surface is values and beliefs. And I mean the real values and beliefs of the company, not just the pretty words that are pinned on the wall and are professed as their values. I mean the true values of what a company believes is important. At the deepest layer of the iceberg, we have the assumptions. These are the unconscious beliefs that exist within the culture, and they're the most untangible. They're the things that you do or say without really realizing it. Let's take a look at some examples to plant this in some context. A company that preaches innovation and creativity, yet really they're completely risk averse, and there is no space or environment for continuous experimentation. A leadership team that encourages people to share their ideas and give feedback. There's even an open door policy in town hall meetings. Yet the reality is people are scared to speak up. They only bring ideas that they know the leadership team will want to hear. A company who claims to put customers first, yet policies and internal politics prioritize revenue over customer experience. People are measured on efficiency, not customer satisfaction. So now that you have some examples of what the cultural iceberg model looks like in context, let's look at how you can use this model to understand and evolve your culture. As a culture coach, the iceberg model is an integral part of a culture audit. And I know many other culture consultants who have ingrained this into their culture audits as well. Because what we're looking at is the visible culture. So what does the company profess or say they like to do? And what's actually happening in the day-to-day behavior? The iceberg model helps us to identify the gaps of what needs to be worked on within a company culture. You can totally do this yourself. The first step is to really identify the visible elements of culture. So this is where you will look at the written values, the mission, the vision statements, any aims or objectives, really collecting as much as you can to understand what is the expression of culture that this company is claiming. Then we dig below the surface. What are people saying and doing, and what might be driving those beliefs or assumptions? Once we've got this qualitative data, we can really see where the gaps exist and what we might need to work on first. And this is where your culture experiment will come into play. So what YouTube will hopefully do now is recommend you the video I've done on culture experiments. But essentially, what we can do is when we understand this iceberg model, we can use it to our advantage to understand and start evolving our culture. As I've hoped you've learned from this lesson, culture is not just what you see. It's everything that's going on beneath the surface that is shaping our attitudes, actions, and behaviors. If you want to create real cultural change, you have to go deeper. What's one hidden element of your company culture that you've noticed? Pop it in the comments below because I would love to know what you're going to be working on next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.